October nights in Neilston can be proper chilling. The wind howled down from the Ferrianese braes, whipping through the narrow streets. Rain lashed the windows, relentless and cold. Streetlights cast long, watery glows on the slick tarmac. Each puddle reflected a distorted, eerie world. The village seemed to hold its breath. Not many folk were out. Sensible people stayed inside. The only sound was the rain drumming against old stone. Neilston is usually quiet, usually safe, but tonight something felt off. Empty swings creaked in the park shopfronts were dark. The Millhouse pub glowed, but even there spirits were dampened. This wasn't just any autumn night. This was the night that would change Neilston. The night John Finnegan would meet his end. The rain kept falling, washing the streets clean, but it couldn't wash away what was about to happen. The village was on the cusp of its darkest hour, and nobody, not even John Finnegan, knew what was coming as he stepped out into that grim, unforgiving night. John Finnegan, 42, father, husband. Known around Neilston, he lived with his family in a council house near the centre. To some, he was just another local bloke, someone you'd nod to in the street. He had kids, a life that looked ordinary on the surface. But there were whispers. John wasn't a simple character. Some saw him as a Jack the Lad, someone who knew people, who could get things. Others were wary. Rumours painted a different picture. In small places, everyone thinks they know your business. His family loved him. To them, he was a dad, a partner, always there for school plays and dinners. Whatever else was said, he meant the world to his own. They'd later speak of a loving father, a core part of their lives. This contrast is key. The family man versus the man with a street reputation. He was part of Neilston's fabric, but there were hidden threads. Was he a victim of circumstance, or did his choices lead him here? These questions grew louder after that cold October night. John Finnegan was a man of contrasts. His life and death reflected that. Known by many, truly understood by few. And now, his story would unravel in the harshest way. That Friday evening, John Finnegan went for a pint at the Millhouse pub. He left just after 11, rain still coming down hard. The streets were deserted, just him and his footsteps on wet pavement. He wasn't alone at first. He left with a friend, chatted, then parted ways. John carried on toward his home on Kingston Avenue. A walk he'd made countless times. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. No sense of being followed, no obvious threat. Just a man heading home after a night out. The familiar sights that turn onto his street, the houses he passed every day. Was he thinking about the weekend, or did he feel a niggle of unease? We'll never know. But as he neared his front door, someone was waiting. Hidden in the shadows, concealed by darkness and rain. The ordinary was about to collide with the terrifying. His home was almost in sight. He probably fumbled for his keys, ready to get inside, but he never made it. Those final, ordinary steps led him into an ambush, a brutal, sudden end to his night and his life. One moment walking home, the next facing death. Just as John Finnegan reached his garden gate, the quiet shattered. Gunshots ripped through the night, unthinkable in a village like Neilston. Neighbours, startled from sleep, peered out from behind curtains. Panic rippled through the street. John Finnegan fell, shot multiple times, right at his own front door. His partner rushed outside, finding him bleeding in the rain. Her screams cut through the night, adding to the chaos. Witnesses reported seeing dark figures fleeing, melting into the shadows. Some saw a dark car speeding away, tires screeching on wet roads. Details were hazy. Everything happened fast. Police arrived quickly, sirens wailing, blue lights flashing. Paramedics battled to save John's life, but his injuries were too severe. He was pronounced dead at the scene. His home became a crime scene. News spread like wildfire. Disbelief, fear, anger. John Finnegan, a local man, gunned down on his own doorstep. The village's darkest night had begun. The rain kept falling, washing over everything. But it couldn't wash away the horror. Neilston would never be the same. The shock lingered long after the sirens faded. The police investigation began at once. This wasn't random. John Finnegan's killing looked like a professional hit. Detectives dug into his life, searching for motive. Whispers about his connections grew louder. It emerged John had links to the local drug trade. Was he a small-time player or involved in something bigger? People in these circles rarely talk to police. Fear keeps them silent. Still, police pieced together his activities, looking at associates, friends, enemies. The criminal underworld, even in small towns, is a murky place. Debts, turf wars, betrayals, any could be motive for murder. Police believed John had crossed organized crime figures. Maybe he owed money or knew too much. The investigation became a web of rumors and half-truths. Informants, phone records, financial dealings, all scrutinized. The picture that emerged: a man caught in a dangerous game. His family saw one side, police uncovered another, darker side, a side that likely cost him his life. The stakes were deadly, and John Finnegan paid the price. As the investigation progressed, suspects emerged, names known to police, men with criminal ties in Glasgow. James McHarry stood out, a figure with a reputation. Police believed he had motive, maybe a drug dispute or unpaid debt. Another suspect, Thomas Hewitt, also no stranger to authorities. The theory: Finnegan's death was a feud turned deadly. Control of the drug market was at stake. Finnegan had become a problem, a rival to be removed. Police built their case, witness statements, forensic evidence, but professional killers leave few traces, and the rain washed away clues. Witness accounts varied, details blurred by fear and chaos. McHarry and Hewitt were alleged to be involved, directly or indirectly. The motive: a warning to others in the criminal world. John Finnegan was made an example of. His murder sent shockwaves through Neilston and beyond. The underworld's message was clear: cross us and pay the price. The village felt the impact, its sense of safety shattered. The investigation pressed on, but answers remained elusive. Eventually, arrests were made: James McHarry and Thomas Hewitt. They were charged with John Finnegan's murder, the case going to the High Court in Glasgow. Tension filled the courtroom. John's family hoped for justice. The prosecution laid out its case. Finnegan's links to the drug trade: a feud turned deadly. Witnesses testified, some clearly fearful. The defense attacked the evidence, questioning witness reliability, highlighting the lack of forensic proof. The trial dragged on, days turning into weeks. The jury faced conflicting accounts, immense pressure. In the end, they returned a verdict: not guilty. McHarry and Hewitt walked free. The evidence wasn't strong enough for conviction. Too much uncertainty, too many unanswered questions. For Finnegan's family, it was devastating. For police, a frustrating outcome. Justice hadn't been delivered. The men accused of murder were acquitted. The crime remained unsolved. Neilston was left with more questions than answers. The shadow of that night lingered. The case officially went cold. John Finnegan's murder is still a raw wound for Neilston. The acquittal meant no one was punished. The case went cold. But for the village and his family, it never truly faded. Who really pulled the trigger? Why did they get away with it? The impact was profound. Safety shattered, suspicion and fear grew. Neilston had to live with the knowledge that killers walked their streets. The community pulled together, but a shadow remained. That night changed the village forever. The justice system isn't perfect. Sometimes the truth remains elusive. John Finnegan's story is a stark reminder of that. It's about the destructive power of the criminal underworld and the enduring pain of a family left without answers. The mystery continues. Perhaps one day new evidence will emerge. Until then, his murder remains one of Scotland's most chilling unsolved cases. We're left to wonder about justice, hidden lives, and the victims whose stories deserve to be remembered. What do you think really happened on Neilston's darkest night? The questions are still out there waiting.